Good morning, and thank you all for your presentations. We will now go to the online poll, and you can fill these in as we go through the Q&A session. So our first question will be, what is the total annual cost of energy for your business? Is it 30,000, 30 to 100,000, or 100 to 500,000 or over? This gives an idea of the support we need to provide for the future. And our first question then is to Eddie. Good morning, Eddie. You refer to the department's consultation on future energy policy. What technologies do you see emerging that would be best suited for the Northern Ireland economy?
Okay, so in terms of technology, the options consultation is really sort of open to the current sort of technology mix we would see in renewables. We are mindful that we have to be open to disruptive technology and fuels becoming available as we develop the strategy and our energy future. So I mean, it's pretty much the technology base we have at the moment we see developing throughout the strategy. There's no doubt that certain technologies are best suited in certain areas, and their use will continue with sort of evolution. Basically, the point is we are looking to have as wide a technology-based development as possible. But there's no doubt hydrogen has been coming under tremendous focus because it's a cross-cutting fuel, and in conjunction with the fuel cell, has no emissions to the atmosphere, bar oxygen and water in there. So it's a major focus for us because of the technology base from Northern Ireland with regards to our wind generation and our future targets to grow that area. See hydrogen having a massive part to play, but renewables as a whole will play a major part as we go forward.
Okay. From the department's point of view, what type of industry-led projects would you like to see coming through for BESS funding and future calls?
Yeah, say at this time in the current and future phases of the IETF, only companies with compliant SIC codes in manufacturing and data centers can apply. What I do think is vital is that the eligibility for future funding rounds sees an expansion to allow a wider applicant base with a wider technology scope to achieve the decarbonisation necessary. For NI, there needs to be a synergy between low carbon infrastructure, the carbon capture piece, our agri-food waste sector, and synthetic fuel outputs. I think that's a major area that requires development.
Okay, and a few more just come through for you there. Okay, we're having an enhanced capital allowance scheme for putting in renewables such as solar thermal panels and biomass boilers. Do you expect any other grants to come through for renewable deployment from the policy in the future?
Yeah, I think we're looking to put in place a range of support through the energy strategy, and as part of this, we'll be considering who this might be open to. I would stress that we're looking at reducing non-domestic energy use. Local government will have a part of that. We'll definitely be looking at other support mechanisms across various technology mixes through the energy strategy. But as I say, at the moment, we are in the options consultation stage, so we're still obviously developing the final strategy piece.
Okay, thank you. And just one final question for yourself here would be, it's the public sector decarbonisation scheme. I think it does apply in Northern Ireland, but is there any financial support for local government? Now, we deal with industry here through yourselves and through Invest NI, but do you know any support for local government?
Again, I would just stress that we are aware that to impact the emissions and the costs involved with our energy sector, we have to focus on deep decarbonisation, various technologies, and local government will form a part of that. So it's being considered in the strategy development. And we are, as I say, just considering various mechanisms. I think contracts for difference is in the options consultation as well. So all of these elements could have an impact on cost savings and possible projects.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to poll question number 2. Does your company have a sustainability or net zero strategy? That's quite simply yes or no. We'll move over to Lily for a few questions. The industrial decarbonisation strategy highlights the transforming of regions, attracting inward investment, future-proofing and securing long-term jobs. What skills and training do you see will be needed for this transition to low carbon jobs and decarbonisation of businesses?
Thanks very much. So I think there's definitely a recognition that we'll need a huge amount of engineering expertise, and that might well be retraining and a reskilling of people who are currently involved in some of the more energy intensive industries that will need to transition away from their current activities. I think bringing in that skills base and building up those skills is something that in the industrial decarbonisation strategy is really recognised in terms of the potential for also building up industry here to provide some of those technologies, make sure that we build up a export base in terms of having the skills, having the knowledge to build some of those new technologies as well. A lot of that policy is still developing within the department, so the IDS document at the moment is the best place to refer to, but as soon as sort of more permanent measures come through, then we will make sure that that is available and advertised.
Okay. We also hear a lot about disruptive technologies like Industry 4. Does AETF consider this in its funding mechanisms?
Yeah, absolutely. So we aren't necessarily targeting ourselves at disruptive technologies in as much as we're technology neutral, and we want to sort of support what the best options are for your specific site. So that might be a piece of equipment that is relatively mature, but maybe to date the paybacks on that technology have simply been too high, or you've not had the investment available to be able to do that. So we're absolutely looking to provide the right measures for the right sites, but we are looking also to try and build that pipeline of more disruptive, more transformational technologies. I think Eddie mentioned hydrogen as an example. We would be really interested to help sort of those first movers to install any of the technologies that they might need in order to fuel switch, and recognise that there might be some innovation required within that. So whether it be converting kilns to hydrogen or boilers and so on, in many industries that's not necessarily been tried before or tested. So that's the kind of thing that we'd also hope to support through the fund. Okay,
and another question came through was, is CSP QA available in Northern Ireland? You're able to research that?
Yes. Yes, so I've just done a double check, but the CHP QA is available across the whole of the UK, so it would be available to businesses in Northern Ireland as well.
That's great. And one other question came through was for research of markets. Is it yourself the contact, or is it to Julia for to see if there's an idea or a project to come through on this? It's more to do with research of the market rather than actually the technology itself.
Yeah, if you've got a proposal that's at an early stage like that in terms of maybe looking to roll out or commercialize a technology and to do the necessary research and testing for that, then the ITF wouldn't be the right fund for you. We're looking very specifically at the application of a technology in a specific site setting. But there are other innovation funds that would be available, and that might be through Innovate UK. And our partners, the Knowledge Transfer Network, who Julia mentioned, have quite an access and to those opportunities, and they'd be able to direct you to the right place.
That's great. And as backup Invest in I programs will be able to help you with market research through our Business Information Centre or through our technology advisors. Okay, we'll move on then to poll question number 3, which is What is the biggest barrier to investment in energy efficiency and decarbonisation technologies for your company? Is the lack of technical knowledge, access to finance, understanding the business opportunities, all of the above, or is there something else? So we'll take a look at that question coming up now. And we'll go to Neil for the next questions. Are there specific technology areas that our universities have expertise in and will be seeking to engage with industry?
Well, Sam, I'd turn that round and say Northern Ireland's universities, both Queen's University and Ulster University, have a wide range of expertise. So we're very able to address any questions that or certainly point people in the right direction for any companies that have questions on technologies. I mean, we have research interests across the whole spectrum of renewable energy systems and approaches from the heat pump side of things, from the solar thermal, solar panels, electrical generation, wind power, marine power, and bioenergy and biomass. And I should also mention, I forgot to mention AFBI. AFBI also have a lot of expertise in bioenergy. And so if people want advice and help, or they need a bit of research carried out, then we do have the expertise available.
Okay, and another question for Neil came through was, with regards to your research for CNG and biogas for heavy goods vehicles, are these fuels economically viable for businesses to switch?
Yes, with caveats. For many companies, they will offer cost savings, but I mean, it does depend on on your fleets, where you operate, how you operate, and there are alternatives on the horizon, such as hydrogen trucks or electric powered vehicles, which may also offer some advantage, especially if you're looking at your scope 1 emissions in terms of your transport fleet and CO2 production. But certainly, bio CNG will reduce your emissions by about 88% in terms of CO2, and it should offer a significant cost saving of 20 to 30% over diesel, something like that, and it's a lot less polluting, and the vehicles are a lot quieter. So it's lots of advantages.
Thank you. We'll move on to poll question number 4. If you're considering decarbonisation measures, what technologies would you require support for? Is it energy efficiency, fuel switching as regards to hydrogen, gas and biogas, carbon capture, utilisation and energy storage, or other? And then we'll go back to Lily for a few questions here. What's the typical size of a company that would apply for BEIS funding, especially on the SMEs? Is it large or small SMEs, or is it just large companies?
Yeah, so I'd definitely say it would depend on the measure, and BEIS has a range of programs that are open and targeted at different sectors and sizes of business. I'd also say it's fair to say that a lot of the funding that has been available to date has also been targeted at larger businesses. So speaking about the ITF specifically, we don't have any size limit at all on who might apply to us, which means largely then we're just led by demand and whether or not the kinds of funding we're offering meet the requirements of the sites that might be interested. And whilst I can't talk specifically about winners so far, I think in the first round of the competition we definitely saw that probably it was larger companies that were applying for the most part. We've revised our thresholds because of that. So we've moved, for example, our minimum threshold for deployment funding down from £250,000 to £100,000, but still recognise that that's quite a high threshold to meet. And that really reflects the fact that we are trying to target those companies for whom fuel costs and emissions are a really significant factor in the way that they operate their businesses. So that might be a small site if it's a very energy intensive sector, but that might also be quite a large site. So we do encourage you, if you're an SME, to get in touch with us and see if there are anything that we can do to support you either through our scheme or other schemes that are available. And you're also able to aggregate projects. So if you're a small site but you're within a company that's got various sites, you you might want to consider aggregating. Similarly, if you've got lots of measures on one site, you could aggregate those up to try and get across that minimum funding threshold.
Okay, thank you. And the timescale from application to awarding of funding, is it 6 months? Or is it quite fast?
So it does take a fair amount of time. So the funding window is open for around 4 months. So we want to give you ample time to be able to apply. For the current live round of the fund, that means that the competition is going to close on the 14th of July. And then we will be notifying winners no later than the 30th of November this year. And once you've been notified if you're successful, yeah, it's a fairly long time.
Okay.
Yeah, which really is just in recognition that we know that applications can take some time to put together.
Yeah, but those larger projects do take time to put together technically and from a design point of view. We had a question as regards, is it open to social enterprises, not-for-profit companies?
Yes, we would be. So the main stipulation there is that the lead applicant on an application must be an eligible manufacturing site or data centre. But if you're working as a site in collaboration with a research organisation or another academic partner, then we really encourage that. And you would be able to form a consortia, or you'd be able to register as a project partner within the application and claim costs. There are some specific rules around the amount of costs that you can claim on a project, but that's all included within the guidance.
Okay, and we'll move now to poll question number 5. What range of spending on energy efficiency or decarbonisation measures do you anticipate your company carrying out over the next 2 years? Is it none, 0 to 400,000, 400,000 to $1 million, 1 to 5 million, or 5 million plus? We have a few other questions come in here as well. Can we expect to pay annual carbon taxes within the next few years? We already have the SECR scheme, so I think, Lily, would you have any background knowledge on additional taxation coming through?
I think only to say that obviously the UK government's committed to continuing the emission trading system under the UK ETS, and there has been an update about that and the future schedule that allocations of allowances will be given out. So that will be continuing, and there'll be sort of a constant update about how that scheme will evolve and work. Besides that, I'm afraid I don't have any more information about any other programs or schemes of taxes, but I think that would be the main thing to consider.
Yeah, still emerging. Other questions come through here. The energy efficiency scheme, we used to have a loan scheme in Northern Ireland, but we are running test pilots for the grant scheme. We had one there in November this year, or last year, and came through in March. And we hope to run another pilot probably later on this year. The Energy and Resource Efficiency Grant Scheme is coming out on the 7th of May. So there's projects, get working on your projects for that. But certainly there will be more grant schemes coming available from Invest.NI directly. That's schemes up to, say, £400,000 project and £80,000 grant. Or on the Resource Efficiency Grant Scheme, it would be 10, 20 or 30% grant available for depending on the size of your company. For coach and bus operators, is there any support available? It will be, you need to talk to the Department of Infrastructure for local support. You may fit into the Office for Zero Carbon Vehicles in the future, but their Office for Zero Carbon Vehicles are already offering grant funding for businesses to buy small vans, large vans, and trucks. Around 35% grant support, up to £3,000 for vans. Large vans £6,000 and up to £16,000 on the first 250 vehicles for large trucks. That's for electric. And then the taxis won't come through a query there for taxi service. The grant will pay 20% on the purchase price of a vehicle up to a maximum 7,500. Another question has come through. Eligibility criteria. It seems to be very much for large businesses, but is there assistance for small business? Yes, if it doesn't fit in for a small business with the BES funding, you can get it from InvestNI directly. And has there been any research regarding industrial heat pumps using natural refrigerants? Lily, would that be covered again under the scheme, using as refrigeration technologies for heat pumps?
So potentially, I think again, it would need to be the case that that technology was above the minimum technology readiness level thresholds that I mentioned. If it's an earlier stage of development, then that might not be suitable for the IETF, but certainly in principle, that's the kind of technology that we would like to support.
Okay, the refrigeration technologies, heat pump technologies are actually covered under the Enhanced Capital Allowance Scheme for direct installation and claim it back through your tax as well. I think we're nearly at the end of all the questions. Okay, we've no further questions at the minute, so please remember the Industrial Energy Technology Fund is open for applications on the spring call, as Lily has said, up until the 14th of July. It's available for grants for energy efficiency and also for feasibility and engineering studies for large projects to deploy decarbonisation technologies. So thank you all for attending today's webinar, and I hope you found it useful. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our expert speakers today and their excellent presentations. And if you have any further queries, please do not hesitate to contact either InvestNI, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, or the universities directly. We will also keep informed of all future webinars and events associated with the energy transition and the business growth opportunities associated with the green economy. Thank you very much for today, and stay safe.